On this video you will see the word solutions for the predicted paper 2 from Pixl for the GCSE maths exam on the 7th of June 2016. It is strongly recommended that you try to do the paper first before you watch these solutions. Once you've done the paper, you can use the solutions to mark your work and to look at the solutions to help you understand why you might not have got some right. If the video is not enough, obviously, go and talk to your teacher to talk you through in more detail. The video will be quite quick. On we go to question 1. So in any question like this, all these probabilities must add up to make a whole 1. So if we take away 0.34 and 0.53 from the whole 1, we should get 0.13. If you were to put this into your calculator in one go, you would have to put brackets around the top and brackets around the bottom before you put the divide sign in between them. To guarantee you get at least 1 mark, it's better to show you're working. So work out the top bit, get your answer, work out the bottom bit, get your answer, then do your division. It says write down all the figures on your calculator display, so that's what you should do. On question 3, we have to draw a stem and leaf diagram. The smallest number is in the 20s, the biggest number is in the 50s. So our stems go from 20, 30, 40, 50. So this way is by not putting them in order first, but just organising them. And then when you put them in order, they should look like that. Make sure you haven't forgotten your key. That would cost you a mark if you've forgotten your key. And check that it tells you in the question there's 15 doctors. Make sure there's 15 numbers at the end. On question number 4, if you just read out the question, replacing n with 3 and n with minus 5, remembering 2 terms next to each other means you multiply, that would have got you a mark. You could have just put it into your calculator, or you could have worked out the 2 multiplications first and then finished it off. Your answer is minus 9. On question 5, you have to write down the first 3 terms of this sequence. So you replace n with 1, then with 2, and then with 3. So 1 cubed add 2, 2 cubed add 2, 3 cubed add 2. You could use a calculator, or you could have worked them out without. The 3 terms you should get are 3, 10 and 29. So on question 6 we have a scatter graph. Part A wants us to describe the correlation. It's going down, so it must be a negative correlation. For part B, when the time taken is 12 seconds, estimate the maximum speed. So you must draw a line of best fit. Go up at 12, go across. It looks like it's about 113. If your line is slightly different, an answer slightly higher or lower would be fine as well. On question 7, on the grid draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 3. Now no table is given, so you could make a table yourself. X goes from minus 2 to 3. So there's the x values. We work out the y values by multiplying by 2 and subtracting 3. So if x was 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 take away 3 is 3, and so on. So you must make a table of values. Because it says 2x, they should go up in 2s as they do. Once you've done your table, you draw your axes for your graph. Axes are not given on this question. Your x's need to go from minus 2 to 3, your y's need to go from 3 to minus 7. So something like this would be okay. When you plot the points, obviously x is 3, y is 3, that's there. X is 2, y is 1, that's there, and so on. It should make a nice straight line. You join them up with the ruler. don't forget to label the axes X and Y. Okay, on question 8, the size of angle A. Now you should spot there's an F angle here. So A is 35 and an F angle is called a corresponding angle. So A is 35 because corresponding angles are equal. So for question 9, you've got cereal sold in two sizes of box. We've got a small one and a big one. Which one gives the better value for money? 350 grams costs £2.69. Now to work out the cost of 1 gram, I'm going to divide by 350. Now change it into pence. 269 divided by 350. That's what it costs per gram. So it costs about 0.76 pence per gram. For large, because I've got 750 grams, I divide the price by 750. That costs about 0.58 pence per gram. So we can clearly see that the large one is cheaper. So we say the large box is better value for money. It costs less per gram than the small box. Okay, question 10. It wants us to write down the ratio of green marbles to blue marbles. There's 16 green, there's 12 blue, so 16 to 12 would get us a mark. Simplest form, so you'd simplify it to 4 to 3 to get full marks. And on part B, we know we've got 48 pens and pencils in total in the ratio 1 to 5, 1 pen, 5 pencils. So we've got to work out how many pencils in the box if the total is 48. So 6 shares, so we need to do 48 divided by 6, so 1 share is 8. Pencils are 5 shares, so 5 eighths make 40. So on question 11, we have to enlarge the shape by a scale factor 2. Now if you take any point on this shape, it has to be, because the centre is O, the origin, we have to double the distance from the origin. So if you take this point for example, it's 6 across and 1 up. If we double that, we'd go 12 across and 2 up. We do the same with every corner. So if we look at this one for example, it's 1, 2, 3 across and 2.5 up. Double that would go 6 across and 5 up. So you do the same for every corner, then join up the corners, the shape should look like that. Alternatively, you could just do one corner and then draw each side twice as long as the original shape in the same direction. So question 12, a classic child improvement question. You could get 1 mark just by subbing in x equals 2 and x equals 3 to show that one's too low and one's too high. If you went further, 2.5 ends up being too small when you put it into the calculator. 2.6 ends up being too big, so the answer is between 2.5 and 2.6. You test the midpoint, 2.55. If you don't test the midpoint, you don't get full marks. Now that answer was just too big, so the answer must be between less than 2.55, hence to 1 decimal place the answer is 2.5. If you don't know how to put these into your calculator, you must ask a teacher or a friend to show you how. Question 13. The scale of a map is 1 to 25 thousandths. The distance between a school and a post office is 1.8 centimeters on the map. Work out the true distance in meters. So because the scale is 1 to 25,000, we multiply by 25,000. That gives us the answer in centimeters. We want the answer in meters. So there's 100 centimeters in a meter, so we divide by 100, and then we've got our answer. Now part B is the other way around. 5 kilometers is the real distance. What is the distance on the map? Now we want the answer in centimeters, so if we convert that to centimeters first, 5 kilometers is 5,000 meters times another 100 would make 50,000 centimeters, and then divide by 25,000 this time, and it ends up being 20 centimeters on the map. Question 14. Part A wants us to find an expression for the perimeter. If we add together the three sides, we'll get the perimeter. We've got 2x, add 4x, add 4x, which makes 10x. We've got plus 5, plus 3, and minus 1, which makes plus 7 altogether. So the perimeter is 10x plus 7 as an expression. So part B, if the perimeter is 42, find the value of x. So we put the expression for perimeter equal to 42, then we solve the equation. So if you take 7 away from both sides, 10x is 35, and then divide by 10, so x equals 3.5. Question 15, mean from a frequency table. You always work out the midpoints of the group first, then you do frequency times midpoint. It's the total of the last column divided by the total frequency. It gives us 18.3 as the mean. Does that seem sensible? Between 0 and 40, 18.3 is near the middle. That seems alright. Question 16. We're asked to work out the average speed. We know the distance, we know the time. So it's a classic speed, distance, time question. Speed is distance over time. So distance in kilometers divided by time in hours gives us the speed in kilometers per hour. So question 17, expand and simplify. You multiply both terms in the first bracket by both terms in the second bracket. You end up with y squared minus 9y plus 6y minus 54. You simplify the two middle bits, minus 9y plus 6y gives us minus 3y. So that's our final answer, 9y squared minus 3y minus 54. So question 18, it's a right angle triangle, two sides are given, we need to work out the third one. It's Pythagoras' theorem. So 6 squared add 9 squared equals the other side squared. We must remember to square root at the end. And it wants the answer to two decimal places, so 10.82. It looks like 81, but the next number is 6, which is 5 or more, so it rounds up. So question 19 was asking us first of all to complete a cumulative frequency column. You must remember cumulative frequency is a running total, so if the first one is 25, the second one is 25 add 36, which is 61. Then you add 20 to get 81, then add 14, then add 5. That's a cumulative frequency complete. So a cumulative frequency graph, you must make sure you plot at the end of the groups. So the graph should look something like that. So 20, then at 30, then at 40, and so on. So the graph should look like that. Once you've drawn the graph, to find the median age, now there's 100 altogether, so we're going to go up to 50 to find the median. So there's 100, we went across at 50, so across at 50, when you get to the line you go down, the median is about 37. Use your graph to find an estimate for the number of people or number of teachers who are older than 45. So you find 45, where age is, you go up to the graph and you go across. It looks like there's 71 that are younger than 45. So how many are older is the gap between 71 and 100. So 100 take away 71, there's 29 older. Again, if you're 1 or 2 off, don't worry, it depends on how you've drawn your graph. Right, question 20. Compound interest. We've got £2,500, interest rate of 3%, so our multiplier is 1.03 for 2 years, so it's to the power of 2. That's the answer. On the second one, interest rate is 6.5%, so our multiplier is 1.065. We need to work out how many years it's for, so it's a bit of trial and error until we get that much money. So after 3 years that wasn't enough. After 4 years it was. So the answer is 4 years. So question 21 is trigonometry. You label the sides involved. We've got hypotenuse and we've got adjacent. So we're going to use ca. We're going to work out the angle. So cos angle equals 7 over 9. And then we inverse cos 7 over 9. And the answer would be 38.94. So another right angle triangle. This time the unknown is a side. The side that we don't know is adjacent to the angle. We also know the opposite. So O and A means we're going to use tower. So we're trying to work out A. So we've covered up A, it's O divided by T. So we're going to do opposite divided by tan angle. So it's going to be 6.5 divided by tan 35. So the answer is about 9.3 centimeters to 1 decimal place. So question 22, stratified sample question. We have 212 students. We want a sample of 50 students. So work out the number of female students who play volleyball in the sample. So there's 34 females who play volleyball out of 212. So we can divide by 212 and times by 50. Answer's about 8. Work out the number of male students in the sample. If you add up the number of male students out of 212, there's 106. So divide by 212 times by 50, there'll be about 25 out of 50. So question 23. We have two similar shapes. Now the surface area of A is 200, the surface area of B is 32. So the area ratio is 200 to 32. The mass of A is 750. Calculate the mass of B. So when we're dealing with area, our scale factor is squared. So the area ratio is 32 out of 200, which is 0.16. If we square root it for a length ratio, that's 0.4. Then if we cube that, we get the volume ratio. Now volume is proportional to mass. So because the volume would be 0.4 cubed, the mass would also be 0.4 cubed. So 750 times 0.4 cubed gets us the answer. Now I've just worked it out another way as well, which might seem a bit more straightforward. This makes more sense to me. Now the area ratio is 200 to 32, which is the same as 100 to 16. If we square root those, the length ratio is 10 to 4, which could simplify to 5 to 2. Now to get the volume ratio, we have to cube these. 5 cubed is 125, 2 cubed is 8. Now volume is proportional to mass. Now if the mass of A is 750, that's 6 times that. I need to do 6 times that to get the volume to get the mass of shape B. So 8 times 6 is 48. We also got the same answer that way. So question 24, prove that 5n plus 1 squared minus 5n minus 1 squared is an even number for all positive integers of n. So if we work out 5n plus 1 squared, 5n plus 1 times 5n plus 1, we work out 5n minus 1 squared, and then we subtract. The answer will simplify right down to 20n. Now because 20n is a multiple of 20, it must be a multiple of 2 because it's 2 times 10n. Since it's a multiple of 2, it must be an even number for any value of n. Question 25a says find the area of the triangle. We can use the trig formula, half AB sine C. If we call these two sides A and B and we call this angle C, just put it into the formula and we'll get the answer. Now calculate the length from B to C. Now if we're trying to work out this side, what you'll find is that all three sides are now involved in the question. So we must use the cosine rule. So cosine rule tells us that a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. We call our unknown side a because we know angle A. It's already labelled as such, so that makes it easier. So we just got to put the numbers in now. Call these two sides b and c. Don't matter which one's which, but we'll probably call that one c and that one b. We put the numbers into the formula. We work it out step by step, not forgetting at the end we've worked out a squared, so we square root it and a will be 10.8. If you haven't got the answer right, check through the working and see where you might have gone wrong. Often this is where people go wrong. Work all that out in one go. So 2 times b times c times cos a. Work all that out in one go and you should get that. And then you've got that one plus that one, take away that one. So question 26, by considering bounds, work out the value of a to a suitable degree of accuracy. This means we need to work out the upper bound of the answer and the lower bound and then choose something in the middle. So to get the maximum value of a, we need, because we're dividing, we need a big B and a small c. So maximum B is 8.235, minimum C is 7.5135. Work that out, and then for the opposite, we want the lowest B, which is that. We want the highest C, which is that. Work out the answers. Now both answers start off with 1.046. That one goes 9, that one goes 2 next. Now a suitable degree of accuracy, so if we called it 1.05, I think that would be okay as well because they'd both round to 1.05. If we call them both 1.046, then that one would actually round to 1.047. So I'd actually prefer to call it 1.05 because they would both round to 1.05. 1.046 is a bit more accurate. Probably still get that right as well. So we have simultaneous equations, we have a linear, and we have actually an equation of a circle there. So always take the linear one if they're not both linear, make y the subject, and then sub that in to there. So once it's subbed in, you expand it out, simplify it, you get an equation in x. We end up with a quadratic in x. So simplify the quadratic, solve the quadratic to get 2 answers for x, sub them in to get 2 answers for y. So a lot of working out, but that's standard on grade A and A style questions. Look through the working if you're not sure how to do it. Look through it step by step. Ask a teacher for further help as required. So x is 4 or 8, and then if x is 4, y is 8. If x is 8, y is minus 4. Question 28, we've got the graph of y equals f of x. We've got to sketch the graph of y equals f of x minus 2. Now this is a horizontal shift 2 spaces to the right. So horizontally we always go opposite to what it looks like. It says minus 2, so we go forward 2. So every point has moved 2 spaces on. So this is the one that your answer should be. So f of minus x means it's a deflection in the y-axis. So there's the y-axis, and the graph has been reflected in the y-axis. So that bit has gone there, and this bit has come from this bit. That's it. We've gone through fairly quickly there. Like I said, for further explanation, talk to maths teachers and we'll explain it in more detail. Thank you very much.